Greetings everyone and welcome back to Avorion and to the HMSS Midna and a few little bits of cargo that I promise you we did not do anything scallywaggy to get. This ship was blown up by, well, where are you? Where are the frigates? Frigates! Don't leave me out here and make it look like it was me. You scoundrels, you. I promise it wasn't me. But since it was already blown up, I came over here and grabbed some of the stuff. I did not grab the cargo because that would be illegal, and we're not criminals. However, I did pick up a few random odds and sods with there. But we are over here, kind of nearish where we started. Let me move across a little bit. There we go. And we have a reasonable bit of progress from the last time you saw us. I'll go to the ship and I can introduce you to a few things. We have a lot of these. An awful lot of different system cards. Probably chief among them that I'm interested in showing you are the turret control systems. We've got all turrets +3, 2 of them. These are exceptional quality. And also, we've got this, an advanced trading system that I want to draw some attention to. In fact, let me just go ahead and pop that on in there. Boop. Now, when you have an advanced trading system, it gives you an extra section that you can click on. It's actually a new menu. Now, basic trading systems. Do I actually have any basic ones? Yes, I've got a really basic one here. Displays the price of goods. This one displays the price of goods and the ratio of goods. In fact, what we can do is we can travel up through the levels and have a look. So there we are. I can look at how much stuff costs. You know, that's reasonable enough. I can see what things will buy, what things will sell. I have no idea about what makes a good trade at the moment, though. If I pop this one in there, this one gives me the ratio of goods. So if you have a look here, I can see, does it actually give me anything new? That's interesting. I was expecting like a price there, honestly, or a percentage. But okay, that doesn't seem to do too much money. Display a price ratio of goods. But the advanced trading system is really very nice. Now, at this point, we do have the price ratio. Okay, I imagine that's just a little bit of a glitch there. We are still running on 0.10.2. There is 0.10.3 version available for the game, but that's the beta branch. And as I play a lot on the Dappling Avorion server with a bunch of the Dapplings on the Dapperdell Discord channels, I don't want to update my game to the beta branch and then not be able to join in all of the shenanigans. But this card specifically gives us trade routes, and we can see there's actually a reasonably profitable trade route right here where we can buy oil from Oil Refinery S for 384 and then take that over to plastic manufacturer M and sell it for 646. We could make a little bit of profit on moving steel around as well, but this card only shows us the trading offices and stations in the sector and the trade routes in the current sector. It's not going to be that often that you're going to find a sector which has a profitable trade route in it. Later versions can give you increasing radii of areas, or rather, it works more off an idea of for X many sectors that you've previously visited, it will show possible trade routes between those sectors. So if, for example, I think the exceptional version will give you 2 sectors. The exotic version, which is like an orange card, will give you 6 sectors, so on, so forth. However, I think it is very much the case that I would like more guns on the Midna. Right. Also, we have lots of weapons. Can I bring up anything in here that shows me my cannons? It does not appear that I can, which is a little bit of a shame. Okay, that's fine. We can go into the building screen then. The 0.10.3 version does add a lot of nice little bits, and I can't wait until I can show that to you. However, we've got a lot of components. Now, currently, we're sorting them by material. These are all neonite material components and have limited places where I can put them, but they are actually pretty cool. We have a lot of these here, these cannons, and they are glorious. So glorious. This one has a range of 7.8 kilometers. It does overheat over time, but, you know, all the cannons do. But the low fire rate tends to mean that you don't have to worry about it over much. We've also got a quad cannon. Really? I mean, it's a little bit shorter in range, but wow. I'm very tempted. Very tempted indeed. We can also add a couple more guns on this at the moment, so... I'm very tempted, I must confess. That being said, though, I do like rapid-fire turrets, but we've currently got... What is the weapon that we've got up here right now? We've got a triple chain gun turret. It does 4.1 damage at a rate of 10.4 per second. Range of 4.85. Let's have a look at some of these others. We've got a triple chain gun turret there. That's a mining turret, which is quite nice. A neonite salvaging turret. Low efficiency, though, but high damage per second. A bolter turret. That's actually not that bad, to be perfectly honest. At a range of 6.49, too. We've also got some lasers. Triple chain gun turret. Ooh, that one's very nice. Look at that range of 7.66, and that's a chain gun turret. It does not have independent firing, though, which is quite unfortunate. I will confess that is very, very unfortunate. This is an exceptional double chain gun turret. I'm actually very tempted to equip some of these onto the hull of the Midna as is. Now, someone did point out that these little hard points I've made are actually bad, and we're going to address that right now, actually. We're going to go ahead and take that off, take off the hard points. Unfortunately, the way the game works is that you can't destroy a gun itself, and I thought you could, but you can disconnect it from the weapon, from the ship. And that comes down to the health of the components that it's attached to. So, in our case, we actually made it much easier to break these things off, which is a massive shame. So, let's go ahead and get rid of these. I would still like hard points, but we're going to need to make them significantly more durable. Okay, just as I'm putting the finishing touches on our hard points, which are now actually reasonably hard to break, we are under attack by pirates. So no time to waste. We need to deal with that. So let's turn off the mirroring mode. How's our shield dealing? It's taking a little bit of damage. Let's quickly add in the last little bits then. We should be alright generally. Independent targeting with the triple chain gun turret. We want that to be on the top slot right there. So that can happily chew on our enemies. We will have a triple chain gun turret on the side right there. And we also want... there was another one that had a reasonable range, I believe. Where are you, my lovely? There we are, the double bolter on this side, and we should be in a reasonably good place. Right, okay. Now, okay, my shields don't care. Never mind, I was worrying over nothing. We are perfectly fine. I would like this one on 2, and I want these all on 1, please. There we go. Now, 2 should be independent targeting. Same for this, for all intents and purposes. And everything should be active right now. Do we have enough? Yes, we do. Good. We have enough people on here to help out. And if we just zoom in, we should be able to fire. Not particularly accurate, unfortunately. Is that already gone? No, not yet. Right, who's the closest one? Who should I be attacking? Well, I suppose I should probably be attacking you, shouldn't I? Super close range. That's what happens with these gigantic cannons. Let's do this at a bit of longer range so you can appreciate it. There we go. They do fantastic alpha damage, but they've got a very slow reload, which is why I wanted to have the chain guns as well, because they just deal a decent bit of constant damage. And I don't like only having slow firing, high damage weapons, because then you overkill. If you leave your opponent with just a tiny sliver of health, you've still got to wait for your main cannons to recharge before you can fire again. Whereas this way, we've just got a constant dribble of damage going out. So if my main guns leave it with only a little bit of health, then I'm still going to be able to take it out very, very quickly rather than having to wait for the main guns to get ready to fire again. Right, okay, well, let's just clear up the cards. I noticed there are a couple dropped from that, but that was, honestly, in this area, very few things can get through my shield, so I really don't have to worry that much. But we do need some extra gunners. Our guns are not firing at the most effective rate right now. And as I say that, we find a place that actually has captains. That is fantastic. How much are they? They are extremely expensive. Well, that's the way it's going to have to be. We're also overpopulated, so that's another bad thing. Let's go ahead and get another 4 regular crew. And then we're going to need to upgrade the crew quarters on Midna to be able to support that. Thankfully, we do have a fair bit of space that we can use for this. So, how about we use Neonite for the crew quarters? We don't actually need that much in terms of size, so let's go ahead and just have some crew quarters around here. That would only give us an extra 1, really. That is not good. That'll give us an extra 2. We could expand it just a little bit, an extra 3. Yeah, sure, I kind of like the idea of having these little crew quarters on the sides, honestly. Just kind of nestled in there. That'll give us an extra 2. Let's take that up to an extra 3. There. And then down here as well. Well, that'll only give us an extra 2, though. Oh well. It's enough for what we need. And I like the idea that the crew... You've got the sort of command crew at the top there. There may be the support staff in these little crew quarters on the side. There may be engineering down the bottom. In fact, I'm highly tempted to start painting it based on that. What kind of colors have we picked up so far? You may have noticed that we get colors by finding them. They drop from certain things, and once you've got the color, then you can use it. We could paint that as kind of engineering. Maybe a sort of blue for command. It looks so out of place just having all of these colors here. But then maybe support would be a kind of a greener color. Maybe sea green, solar pale green. You could have that there. Just to designate the different sections. Yeah, something like that. I mean, I'm not entirely settled on this color scheme, but I don't mind it. It's not actually bad. Down, maybe we'll even have those thrusters be colored blue as well. And then down here we'll have these ones. There we are. Sort of a deeper orange down there. And I think that's good enough there. We do need some... We'll go back to no color for now. We've got a limited palette at the moment. With that, I think we're ready to move on. We've now got a captain in the ship. In fact, let's just test that out. I've got an really tiny drone. This gives you an interesting size comparison. Let's select it. Now, there is a captain in there. I've got permissions, orders, attack enemies, mine, escort me, patrol sector, guard this position, passive, idle. Okay. Just be passive for now, I guess. And I'm going to get back in. But at this point, we could rebuild Midna to focus on mining if we wanted to build a new ship. And to build a new ship, I would like a reasonable bit of an aeonite, because I'd want to start the right way. Do we actually have a research facility? Have we found one yet? Repair dock? No. There's a trading post there. Wow, that's got so many things. Military outpost? I can only imagine they're willing to buy quite a lot of stuff. We've also got a signal over there. We could hop in that direction and use that. Might be wise. What have we got down here? We've also... Titanium and neonite. There's a reasonable amount of asteroids there. We have not got any kind of research area as yet. None of the particularly interesting areas have shown up just yet. But we should probably go over there and find out what's happening with that little distress signal, I'm going to assume. So I'm going to remember the coordinates there. And at this point, it makes much more sense for us to just hop, skip, and a jump to where we want to be, because it costs us significantly less money by doing this rather than having to go through the gate. I mean, I'm not poor, but I'm not rich either, and having the crew that we have, the crew pay, is 12,000 credits every month. That is going to start hurting soon, unless we find some way of getting a lot of money. Now, here's something a little bit interesting. I was hopping over towards our destination, jumped into a new asteroid area, and on the map, it's always worth zooming out when you're in an asteroid field and looking for any asteroids that just seem abnormal in some way. Abnormally large, perhaps, an irregular shape. And this one caught my eye, so I've flown over to it. Now, there is perhaps another way that you can probably check these things as well. In fact, let's just bring this up. Now, generally, you're looking for claimable asteroids. Detect claimable asteroids and wreckages and reports if you find one. There we are, valuable objects detected. But once you're used to looking for them, and as I said, I've been playing on the Dappling Avorion server with quite a few of the Dapplings, and I'm slowly getting better at just eyeballing these sorts of things. Especially the sort of harsh edges on these is pretty indicative of this being an asteroid that is of interest. Now we're just going to creep in a little bit closer. As soon as you're close enough, and you have to be very close, you can press F to interact. We can now claim this asteroid as ours. So there we go. This is now mine. We could found a mine here. It is ridiculously expensive to do so. However, when you do, the mine will just make the resources there. I'm not sure if it has any great process based on the type of asteroid it is, whether it has ore veins or anything running through. Some of them do. I'm not sure if that'll affect how much it produces, but at that point it'll produce whatever it does, and that'll just be free for you to pick up. I'm not sure if other people will trade with it and you'll just make a passive bit of money, but you can do that. However, as you saw, very expensive. We can alternatively sell it. Now, this is not worth that much, but I could sell it to quite a few different factions and we'll get a healthy reputation boost as well as a pocket full of credits. So the first thing I would like to do is check who we know about and what kind of relationships we have with them. We could trade with them and it would go a good way of fixing that. I mean, we did kill one of their people. They're not super happy with us, frankly. They're not super happy. I could push them even further into the admired spectrum. Federation, where are you? We could get them possibly up to admired. And the Gazee, they're minus 27,000, but that would bring us closer to neutral with them. However, I think I'm going to go with the Kuru Federation. Let's go ahead and sell that. And that should have impacted this in some way. Let's bring up the player menu again and check that out. Where are we? It's still going to take a little while before we get to admired, it seems. Still, that made us a healthy bit of cash. And that is how you deal with these. Now, they haven't yet built a mine. I'm not sure if they will eventually. I couldn't quite see if there were any other asteroids of note in here, but I think one is enough. And unfortunately, they're not selling for a great deal in this area. I think I would actually rather build my own industry. So the next couple that I claim, I'll probably just remember where they are and then come back a little bit later on. Now, we've still got a little bit to go in order to get there. When you do that as well, you also expand the territorial claims of the various empires, so you can actually kind of push someone out if you don't like them by just claiming lots of asteroids around the place and giving them to an empire that you do like. It is another means of dealing with hostile empires other than just making them like you or killing them. Okay, we are about to jump into the new system in 5 seconds. There we go, let's go. And hopefully this is good. What? I think this risk all worked. You're as good as dead, maggot. That is unfortunate. How many enemies we got? We've got an awful lot of enemies. Yeah, okay, we're moving. Now, I've got very long-range weapons, so we may be able to just win this by just sniping them. Let's find the closest enemy. Where are you? That would be you. Okay, well, fair enough. I need these to all be auto-fire. And let's see what we can do. About there, I would say. So a little bit far off. Need to try and lead the shots a bit. There we go. And we're going to just continue to harass them from long range and occasionally pop in a bit closer. If too many of them get into range, then I'll just pull back a little bit. I really do need to lead these shots a bit better. I can scarcely see the enemy, though. You know what? Let me reposition my camera a little bit and shrink that down a bit. There we go. That looks a bit better. Right, ooh, they're fighting amongst themselves? I approve enormously, frankly. Enormously. I can barely even see what part of you I can hit. I can't even see it in the preview. Ooh, okay. Apparently I'm a really good shot, especially when I can't see what I'm doing. Unfortunately, there wasn't really much to pick up in this area that was any better than what we already had, though I have filled my inventory here with a few new cards and turrets that maybe I can use in a research station. But one thing I really do like about the game as a whole is how alive the universe feels. The NPCs are fighting against each other. It's not just against me or with me. There are pirates who are fighting non-pirate sectors, but there's also pirates who are fighting the other pirates, and there's factions that are fighting other factions, and it makes the whole thing feel very, very organic, very alive in certain ways. Now, where is that wormhole? Oh, fantastic! Fantastic luck this was. We are being jammed, however, which is not great, but I don't frankly care. There are a lot of things in this system that want us dead, though, and that's not particularly nice, I've got to be honest. Now, we can't easily see what their equipment loadout is at this range. However, I am tempted. You know what? Yes, let's go ahead. I would like to find, where are we? There we are. Let's get this scanner upgrade installed. Can I then get, there we are. Because I can now see much further away, I can see that ship's damage rating. It's only 15 Omicron. Ours is significantly higher. Plus, our shield is quite strong as well. Or at least, it is when we decide to install the correct shield upgrade, such as this one right there. Now, they've just finished beating up whoever it was that they were beating up. What is that? Military outpost. Ah, right, okay. I mean, they're not going to trade with me, but it would be interesting to see what they would do. Hi, crew. Yeah. No, I reckon say that you're not allowed to do business with you. Yeah, unfortunately. Come back when your relations with our faction are better. Oh my goodness. What have we got going on here? Okay, you're a lot higher in terms of damage. I mean, I could fight you right now. I think I will. Ooh, that. I bet that is an asteroid that we can sell. And I would like to. You're going to be really angry with me when we fight, aren't we? Yeah, probably. I probably shouldn't, but I'm gonna anyway. Okay, there are actually lots of you, and you've got reasonable firepower. Okay, we need to do this quickly. We need to get you out of the way now before you become much of a threat. So let's just lay into these guys so that we can start harvesting the system without too much fear for what's going to go on. You're doing a reasonable bit of damage to my shield, actually. I can scarcely see the ship that I'm trying to destroy through all of the explosions and firepower. I am probably going to run into you, aren't I? Yes, yes I am. That is worrisome. Okay, you're down. Next one. Let's go for you, shall we? Let's just try and take you out so that your firepower stops being added to the whole. You've got a shield. Let's not mess with you then. Let's go for you instead. I should be able to handle this. I have no idea though, because they are drinking my shield at a much faster rate than I like. I'll be perfectly honest with you. But this one is already down to about 50%. I should be able to wipe you out. Now you can focus on certain systems if you want to. At the moment, it's just faster for me to aim at just wiping them out. Just aim at the core and do as much damage as I can, as fast as I can, frankly. But many of my weapon systems are currently overheated. That is a bit of a shame. Let's see if I can't just wipe you out. Ooh, that is drinking my shield. Time to bail. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's outdistance them. I don't need to play close up. I've got weapons that can do fine from a reasonable distance. Now, unfortunately, my shields are drained. Now, if I could, one thing I can do is get in close, wipe out some of the thrusters on one of their ships, and then scatter. And then just allow the ones that I haven't crippled to catch up with me first, thus separating them out, just forcing them to trickle feed themselves to me where I can deal with them a little bit better. That is actually a lot easier to do than it might sound. It's actually fairly easy to do that kind of damage to a ship. Generally, their thruster systems are very easy to see. Sorry, not their thrusters, their engines. Their weapon systems much harder to disable, because the weapon systems are usually attached to a bulk of armor, and you have to wear that armor down first, whereas their thrusters are usually quite visible and vulnerable in and of themselves, because they can't be covered up. You can't cover up a thruster. At least I don't believe you can and still have it function. Right. You're now within range of me, so I can start plinking you from a great distance. There we go. And I will continue to attack for a little while as I let them feed themselves over to me. And I will bring you back if things start going horribly for me, or I win. And there we go. That is the last of them taken out. Now, it's worth noting that I've actually found that it's a lot easier to get a lot of good materials from salvaging than mining. That is probably, you know, your mileage may vary based on whether you've got better salvaging lasers or better mining lasers. I have better salvaging lasers as a whole. And so I find it a lot faster just to salvage ships which are made of the stuff that I want rather than trying to mine it from asteroids. But I'm going to be spending the next little, well, forever, salvaging all of the ships that I just blew up and then checking out the asteroids here. That one looks suspiciously like one I can turn into a mine or sell to someone, you know, whichever. Alright, having salvaged a number of wrecks at this point, including a couple of pirates who thought they'd take a shot at me after I was done dealing with the aliens, we can finally check if this asteroid... Ah, there we are. It is, in fact, one that I can claim. Fantastic. And how much would this be worth? Oh, my lord, that's worth quite a lot. Alright, well, let's have a quick glance at who I would like to help along. I also found where I can see my turrets and my upgrade cards, and it's in my player inventory, not my ship inventory. So the Democratic Yugawa Republic, they're alright with me. The Hoi Planets, where are we? Okay, and the Jusik Guild. They're all reasonably happy with me. Very aggressive, brave, mistrustful, smart, greedy, sadistic, honorable, strict. Alright. Very strict, very honorable, generous, and peaceful. Alright. Very forgiving, greedy, opportunistic, dumb, and naive. Aww. I think we're going to go with the High Planets, based only on the fact that they seem like the nicer people. So here you go, High Planets. You may have that, and we've got a good reputation boost from them. Now, I have no idea if these are, in fact, the lands of the High Planets. Let's see. No, the whole planet. Is it High or Holly Planets? I'm not sure. But this is actually controlled by the Jusik Guild. So possibly not something that they're going to be too happy with that. But still, we're establishing the High Planet holdings in this area, and we are being attacked again. Really? Now, this is something that is a little bit annoying in the current version. The attacks are constant. Very, very frequent. And that's also true of the faction warfare. Now, that might sound a little bit odd because I had only just mentioned how I like the fact that it feels kind of organic, and I do, but there's organic and then there's just constant stuff happening for the sake of stuff happening, and that's what some of this feels like. However, in version 0.10.3, that's reduced significantly. There's even like a timer on when the next pirate raid or faction warfare can happen, and it gives a reasonable bit of time, so you feel like after a fight you've got a little bit of downtime where you can just kind of focus on other things and checking out mining or salvaging without constantly coming under attack again. And that's, honestly, I think that was needed. Additionally, most factions... Right now, there's like a 75% chance that any faction you discover is going to be at war with another faction, and that's just imposed. However, in version 0.10.3, it is more like 50% rather than 75%. So that's a little bit better. Wow, that gun has got a massive kick. Either that or we got shot by something from you, which had a massive kick. But I think it was more my guns had tremendous force being applied to the front of the ship there. Let's try and take you out. Let's aim down a little bit and then just let you kind of drift into my shots like we're firing a shotgun, which is more or less what we're doing. A really, really big shotgun. Right, there we go. That was fairly easy. That ship is largely intact, so we're probably going to be able to get quite a lot from that. Look at the amount of titanium there. 219,000. It is really, really quite bonkers. Really bonkers. The asteroids in this place are just amazing. And that's true of the Neonite asteroids as well. So we're probably going to be mining here for a little while. We're going to want a lot of titanium, a lot of Neonite, and then looking at the time, yeah, we're going to have to do this in the next episode, I think. We are going to be building our new warship, and that's probably going to be the focus of the entire episode. So there'll be less time lapses and more discussion about what I would actually like to do with the ship, though you can expect a few time lapses even still. But with that done, we will then leave Midna. We'll probably have to put Midna through a little bit of a redesign to make her primarily a mining vessel. And the reason why we need to do a bit of a redesign is the way that the game handles things like mining is it simply tells the ship to attack asteroids. So if you've got any combat weapons on the ship, it will just like chain gun the asteroid, which is in most cases not going to do much damage because it actually takes a lot to break chunks off an asteroid. So your mining lasers are really the only way you're going to do significant damage to it, but you might lose a little bit here and there from the asteroid, and you especially don't want that on extremely rare resources. Likewise, there's not currently a salvaging mechanic. You can't tell a captain to salvage an area. However, with mods, you can. And the mods are operating much the same way. It basically tells your ship to attack the wreckage. So again, you want salvaging lasers and no mining lasers on it so that it can do that without breaking everything down. Though with salvaging, it's a little bit more forgiving because you don't... If you break a wreckage, you'll still pop guns off. You'll still pop off equipment cards. So it's not quite as necessary for you to really redesign the weapon loadout of the ship to make sure it doesn't do anything stupid. There's actually a fairly, I mean, it's a growing community of modders, but it's already quite impressive, the sort of things that people have been modding into the game. And it looks like the developers are supporting the modding community and making the game more moddable as time goes on, rather than locking a lot of things into hard code. And that is a fantastic move by any developer, I feel, because games benefit from modding. There's very rarely a case where modding makes the game less saleable or less enjoyable. It's just giving the power to the players to change it around a little bit. And now I know that with a lot of things, people don't really want to give up all of their artistic control over a project that's quite important to them, so I can completely understand that. But by and large, I can't think of any examples off the top of my head where the modding community has made the game worse. It's something that I look for in games. If a game has good support for modding, then it's probably going to be a good game long into the future, even after the developer maybe has moved on to the next game. But with that, we're going to be ending this episode, and I'm going to get down to some serious Neonite mining, and in the next, we're going to be designing a new ship built from the ground up for war. I hope to see you then, but as always, remember to like if you liked, sub if you haven't, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.